Hey there, Nate here with the Volunteer Tech Vlog on the Live Sound 101 YouTube channel, and it is Friday. Cheers. Cheers. I will take a sip of not my hazelnut iced coffee. I'm letting my hair hang out. I'm letting it all go today. I'm having Coke. I got Coca-Cola in here. So with that, it is a Friday afternoon. Let's drive. Now, I can only make these videos on my way home for so long because it's starting to get darker. So as it gets darker and darker, I mean, even in this video, you're probably not going to see my face all that well because it's going to be kind of dark. It's rainy. It's kind of a miserable day in terms of the weather. But I will be on my way home right now. So anyway, hope you guys are having a good Friday. And I'm trying to think of topics to talk about on this Friday afternoon, but doing a lot of collaboration with people lately. I got a really nice shout out from Kern over at Home Recording Weekly, the podcast there, episode 88, where he announced winners of the winner of the songwriting competition. So that was a cool thing that he does over there at Home Recording Weekly. So I've been listening to some of his podcasts, getting a feel for it. And, we got some birds up here. Out of the way, birds. I like quail. It's so funny in the fall. Fall in New England, you come across all kinds of funny birds that you never see because I don't know if they're looking for food or they're mating season or what. No, it's spring's mating season, right? What are these birds doing? Quail. That's kind of cool. Never seen a flock of quail before. Maybe they're grouse. I don't know. Some sort of funny birds. But hey, maybe you'll catch a little bit of the beautiful New England foliage in the background as I'm driving around in this video. Anyway, yeah. So nice shout out from Kern. So that was pretty cool. A lot of stuff going on. I think in this video, so something I've been following is like ways to document your system. So like AutoCAD, things like Visio, Google SketchUp, signal flow. How do you guys document your signal flow? I've done a few videos on this. One was called, I think, 3 ways to create signal flow, something like that. I'll put a link here so you can have that reference. But I talked about different ways you can make signal flows. And the reason why this is relevant today, why I want to bring it up, is because there is this new startup company, actually in the Boston area, not too far from where I am, called OnShape. 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 And so the guy, and it's a startup, and apparently it's almost reached unicorn status if you follow the startup community and the lingo there. So if you have if you've got over $1 billion in funding as a startup, that is said to be unicorn status. So your valuation is so high that you've reached this kind of unicorn status. And I guess there's some argument over whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, right? Because if it's not true, if you've got that much money but you're not really worth that much and you can't deliver, that's a whole nother problem there. But I mean, it's good to be well funded, right? Also a double-edged sword somewhat. But anyway, my thing isn't really startups, but I just saw this come across my news feed, and I thought it was relevant to Live Sound because, signal flow. So this is kind of like what I do, like AutoCAD. I mean, you wouldn't think about, like, when you think about somebody who is an audio video professional or somebody who works in Pro AV, you think about somebody who can set up a mix, somebody who can kind of be plopped behind any mixer and kind of figure out the signal path and how to route signal. I think you think about somebody who really understands video really well, lighting really well, those types of things. But I have really made a career for myself working as a systems integrator for almost the last 10 years, largely based around my knowledge of a computer program called AutoCAD. And it's something I don't talk about a whole lot because as it pertains to the Volunteer Tech Vlog here on the Live Sound 101 channel, AutoCAD is an expensive piece of software, and so I use it every day at work, but I don't necessarily use it in the volunteer sense. I have had endeavors where I set out to document our system at the church, our live sound system, our video production system in AutoCAD. And what happens is I'll spend a whole bunch of time documenting everything in AutoCAD, and it might take me a few hours here, a few hours there, spread out over the course of a couple months. And by the time I get the thing pretty much documented, something will change in the system. There'll be something that fails, or something needs to be replaced, and or maybe the documents will be current for a year or two, but a couple years later they'll need to be updated. And so I stopped documenting the system in AutoCAD just because it was something that really wasn't sustainable for the team, unless I wanted to keep donating my time and keep up with it. And as you grow older and become more of an adult and develop more responsibilities, and I've got 2 kids and everything, and just the time I'm able to put into that wasn't like it was when I was single or when I was newly married with no kids. So I find myself in that position. But AutoCAD certainly is a powerful tool for audio video pros, just because it allows you to document the system in a very detailed way. Signal flows are huge. Really understanding how to read signal flows from left to right. You got your sources on the left, you got your destinations on the right. Being able to read a flow and understand what's happening in the system is really important. And so this company, so I've pretty much, if I'm honest, I think that one of the most important things about, one of the most important skills I've had that has really helped, become a catalyst for my career growth and development has been just the understanding of AutoCAD, because it's a very complicated program. There's a command line where you can just type in commands. There's shortcut buttons. There's scripts you can run. There's you can make blocks. You can make groups. You can do all kinds of cool things with signal flow. You do your rack elevations, your architectural layouts, and it's been kind of like the common language, in the architectural world, right? So when you're designing an AV system, one of the first things you'll do is request architectural drawings, of the facility to kind of see, where your speakers need to be, where the seats are going to be. So it's definitely an important thing for on many levels, not just signal flow, but also architecturally and acoustically, and just in terms of a layout. Man, if you've ever done any Battle of the Bands, for example, where you've got a stage and you've got 5 or 6 bands that are going to be switching sets and using that same piece of real estate there, it really helps to have a sketch of the stage, where the floor boxes are, so where your interconnects go, what needs to be unpatched and patched back in between sets. And if you've got a little flip chart with a stage layout for each set, each act, it really makes it a lot easier to switch. So it can come in handy in a live sound. There's a number of ways where AutoCAD can come in handy. But that said, you don't necessarily always need a tool that expensive and that powerful to kind of accomplish the same things. I remember being a student at UMass Lowell, and it wasn't a Battle of the Bands. It was an event called Mothers of Rock, and it was a tribute to women in music, and it was like by women for women. So it was all basically a bunch of girl bands. There were some guys playing in the bands too, but it was largely kind of a girl power type of event. And I was asked to do live sound for that while I was at school, and I had a clipboard with a bunch of blank computer paper and a Sharpie marker, for all you non-Boston people. That's how you say it. I guess my Boston accent doesn't really come out all that well. Sometimes it's when I'm on like a construction site and there's a bunch of Boston bros talking, sometimes my accent will come out a little bit, but I really don't have too much of an accent. Man, it is a beautiful Friday to be headed home right now, despite the rain. So yeah, I had this sheet of paper, this clipboard with a bunch of I think there must have been like 10 or 15 acts, and we had an analog system. It was a Mackie, VLZ SR32 32 by 4 bus analog mixer, and we had our analog snake running to front of house, and I had a couple helpers, and made photocopies and just kind of sketched out where everything was, and did a lot of just mixing on the fly. Tried to reuse the same vocal mics if possible, the same instrument mics if possible, but all the acts were different. But man, I would have been lost if we didn't have this like stage diagram to reference for me and for my assistants, on the comm system, to be able to communicate, during the set changes, what was happening, what gets patched where. And it was fun. It was a chaotic mess of fun, and a good learning experience for me to be doing that. But kind of a tangential story there as to why AutoCAD and signal flow is good to be documenting. But anyway, back to this, why this comes up again, this company OnShape. So it's unique for a couple reasons. So I read a little blurb about it, thinking, what was the website? Boston Insider, Bostino, or something like that. It came up in my news feed because I follow some Boston-based publications, and it's just, I think, up to like $800 million in funding right now. It's getting close to that $1 billion mark, so it's newsworthy. And the CEO of SolidWorks, so former CEO of SolidWorks, went and started this company. And the big thing with OnShape is that it's all cloud-based. So his whole argument, I watched a little video on their website, his whole argument and reason behind launching this startup to essentially add a new CAD program to the mix, in addition to your Visios, your AutoCADs, your SketchUps, your SolidWorks of the world. Their whole thing is that our collaborative and our creative process has been developing over the last 10 years. We use video conferencing, Skype, Zoom, all these different platforms to communicate. And so what they're trying to do is develop a CAD program. CAD stands for Computer Aided Design, a computer-aided design program that incorporates all these collaboration tools within the program. And the big thing about it is it's 100% cloud-based. So if you have ever had any experience with AutoCAD, you know the struggle. I mean, about installing seats of the software and getting the licenses, and it's a big deal. And it's to the point where AutoCAD has been one of the biggest watchdogs, if you will, of pirating software. I mean, not uncommon for a company to be fined millions of dollars for installing the same version. They might have bought one license of AutoCAD. If that one license somehow makes its way onto 2 computers, AutoCAD can find out about that and come after the company with some legal stuff, some legal charges and lawsuits, and it's no joke. I mean, it's literally millions of dollars, and AutoCAD's very expensive on top of that. So OnShape, it would be interesting to see how OnShape affects everything, because it is cloud-based. You don't have to worry about installing or anything. You just go to a web browser and you log into the web browser from your smartphone, from your computer, from your laptop, from wherever, from your tablet, and you're able to access this computer-aided design, this CAD software. And it's completely, it's kind of like a new approach. AutoCAD is way different from that. Like, you got to have your files low. I mean, you could have files stored on a cloud somewhere, but it's just not integrated. There are some integrations with AutoCAD, but it's complicated to use. So this whole thing with OnShape is they're trying to make it simpler. But another reason I bring this up is because they have a freemium kind of pricing model. So, they're not a sponsor or anything like that. I have no ties. I just found out about them this afternoon, and I'm making a video about it while it's fresh in my mind. So I'm not, no affiliate relationship or anything like that. But you can go to their website and create a free account and start using it. And then when you want to go pro, it's like $100 a month. So yeah, I think I'm going to definitely be checking it out, just because I've made my living basically based on AutoCAD, and I know how to do a lot of cool things with that program. I can dabbled in scripts and LSP a little bit, doing some pretty cool stuff with AutoCAD. Very powerful program, but also difficult to use. So if OnShape starts to catch on, this is something that I want to definitely be following and tracking, and I want to set up a free account, test it out, see what it's like. But I also, at the same time, am a little bit skeptical, just kind of hearing about this for the first time, because AutoCAD and just vector-based design, especially 3D stuff where you're doing 3D rendering, it's very CPU intensive. So there's a lot of processing power needed to run AutoCAD. I mean, from my experience, whenever, and I've been I've worked as a CAD engineer. It's been like kind of my primary role wherever I've worked is to use AutoCAD. And whatever company I'm at, they usually have different tiers of computers in terms of the processing power, right? So like a sales administrator that's just doing like Excel and data entry, they get kind of like a lower grade computer that doesn't necessarily have to be a workhorse in terms of processing power and RAM and memory and the whole deal. But then you've got your middle of the road computer for people that do, a little bit more, intensive, computer processing, computer work. And then it's like, if you're like the CEO and you're, the boss man, you got to get, super powerful computer. And then like the CAD people tend to also have that, CEO, if you will, grade type of computer, like really powerful, lots of memory, lots of processing power, RAM, the whole deal, just to run the program, because it's such a robust program. It just requires more resources to be effective, to be efficient, if you're using it all day every day. So that is my big concern with a completely cloud-based software like this, is that the nature of CAD work is very, very intense. And so how do they manage the resources required to make this program run when it's running on a web browser? It's pretty lightweight. And then my other big concern, or the place, reason why I'm skeptical about OnShape, I'm hopeful at the same time, and definitely give it a shot. But one of the big things is that, what happens when you lose your connection to the internet? I mean, it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. I mean, there have definitely been half a dozen to a dozen times I can remember where I'll be at work, either at the company I'm at now or a former company, where the internet has gone down. Maybe a huge DDoS attack. I mean, we just had one of those recently. It took down Twitter, and essentially half the internet went down because of this huge denial. What do they call it? Denial of service. It's not a delegated denial of service. It's what does DDoS stand for? Whoever knows what DDoS stands for, you get a bonus point. You get a thumbs up if you can write. It's dedicated denial of service, direct denial of service. I can't remember what the first D stands for. Distributed. Is it distributed? I think it's distributed denial of service. But things like that, or maybe there's a lightning storm, or maybe a tree falls down or something, and you lose your connection to the outside world. Do they have a contingency plan? Do they have the functionality to work locally also built into the system? So those are the types of things that I'd be thinking about.